Harley-Davidson has spent a century anchoring the concept of American freedom to the physical rumble of a V-twin engine. It remains one of the most recognizable mechanical sounds on the planet. But that sound has an expiration date. Between 2030 and 2050, global legislative bans will phase out the sale of new internal combustion engines. The core product that defines Harley-Davidson will eventually be illegal to sell. This bar chart outlines the immediate structural problem. In 2006, Harley-Davidson sold nearly 350,000 motorcycles. Today, that number sits at roughly 177,000. In less than 2 decades, their unit sales have halved. And when we look at the rising line graph overlaying those falling sales, the demographic trap becomes clear. The average Harley-Davidson buyer is now 50 years old, and that metric creeps higher every single year. The company is trapped in a fatal paradox. Their aging, highly loyal customer base demands a loud, heavy, traditional legacy product, but that specific product is scheduled by international law for extinction. Faced with these business pressures, corporate leadership tried to solve the crisis by immediately modernizing their manufacturing and jumping straight into the electric vehicle space. Their answer was the Livewire, an aggressive, fully electric motorcycle that hit the market with a prohibitive entry price of over $22,000. The market response was brutal. Legacy buyers, the faithful Harley enthusiasts, rejected it because it lacked the V-twin character and sound. At the same time, newcomers ignored it because the high cost and confusing brand messaging made it inaccessible. You cannot force a loyal, aging customer base to adopt an entirely different technology overnight. And you cannot capture a brand new, younger audience without first building a logical, affordable pipeline to bring them in. Roughly 30% of the current motorcycle market consists of aspiring riders, people who want the adventure and culture of riding, but who look at Harley-Davidson and feel entirely ignored. Instead, they turn to brands like Royal Enfield. Royal Enfield has quietly become the dominant entry point for modern adventure motorcycling globally. They are providing the accessible gateway experience that Harley-Davidson completely abandoned. This visual ladder illustrates exactly why. For a first-time buyer, the absolute cheapest new Harley you can get costs around $10,500. Royal Enfield offers a solid baseline model for roughly $4,500. For a beginner, that gap is insurmountable. To rebuild their pipeline, Harley has to fill that empty space. They can introduce a sub-$8,000 Heritage entry model. They can implement aggressive 0% flex financing to break down the sticker shock. And they can launch a heavily marketed certified pre-owned program to get used bikes directly to new riders with a factory warranty. Competitors playing in the sub-$8,000 range are not the enemy. They are fulfilling the crucial first step of motorcycle ownership. Harley-Davidson needs to systematically reconstruct that on-ramp for themselves. Fixing the price ladder is only the mechanical solution. The psychological problem remains. How do you convince someone to invest in a brand whose core product is being regulated out of existence? You weaponize the timeline. Rather than quietly waiting out the internal combustion engine bans, Harley should loudly advertise the impending death of its own engine. A campaign built around the phrase "enjoy till it lasts" creates immediate scarcity. The strategy relies on experiential marketing at scale. Harley opens up its massive community events, turning legacy rallies into welcoming grounds. They launch $99 first ride events at local dealerships, removing the intimidation factor of throwing a leg over a heavyweight bike. This specifically targets the nostalgic prospect. These are 35 to 55-year-olds with disposable income who have always told themselves they would buy a Harley someday. By openly admitting that the internal combustion era is closing, the brand removes someday from the equation. It forces a decision today, converting passive aspiration into urgent, immediate action. Executing this scarcity campaign generates a functional bridge toward the next era of manufacturing. Converting just 5% of this targeted market provides the capital required to survive the pivot. The sales funnel tracks the path from addressable market to conversion. Without spending a single dollar on new electric research and development, a 5% conversion rate unlocks over $1.5 billion in incremental revenue across a 5-year window. That capital funds a strategic 2-phase roadmap. From now until 2028, Harley maximizes its internal combustion profits. They use that cash to quietly perfect an electric platform in the background, one that will eventually be marketed to entirely new demographics while letting the rest of the industry test the electric waters. Then comes 2035 and beyond. As the legislative bans take full effect, the remaining traditional motorcycles don't just disappear. They naturally transition into ultra-premium, highly sought-after collector items. This is how a brand avoids the trap of changing regulations. They orchestrate a 10-year pivot, allowing their legacy product to bow out exactly when demand peaks for the very last time. Harley-Davidson doesn't have to die with the combustion engine. By running the most profitable goodbye in corporate history, they can completely self-fund their own survival in the electric age.